Peace. Welcome, everybody. Say hi to everybody first here. Over to Joe. Hi, everybody. Peace and love to you all. And I'm not even going to tell you what happened technically. So I wiped my hand up my mouse and something happened. And anyway, good morning, everybody. Peace and welcome. I can still see the chat, so I'm going to say hi to everybody. Good morning. Hello, Betty, Ellen, Dan, Katrui, PL, Mary, Wanda, Casey, Kristen, Freetness, Hey Tribe, Dawn, Brother Rob, across the ocean there, Tim, Sean, Candyman, way down in the south, Basilia, Sandy, Ellen, Kristen, volume is too low. Blasting up the volume. How's that? Is that better? Excellent. Kristen, you got my back all the time. Yeah, thank you very much. I hope that's better. Hey, anyway, thanks for having my back, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you coming. Appreciate your participation. This is not church. Peace and namaste. Welcome. This is mysticism with a Christian accent. Humility, kindness, compassion. No doctrine, no dogma. And Jesus of multiple gospels, some of you know of, and some of you've never heard before. Today, God is un, from Matthew 9:16-17. And if I were speaking French today, un would mean one. And although this is true, I am speaking English and, well, un-French. My near-death experiences combined with my purposeful life of contemplation, writing, scholarship, and storytelling has led me to create, not church, a strong community of mystically awakened and spiritual awakening seekers on your spiritual journey, on their spiritual journey. I am on my own. I am a perpetual student, a seeker, a knower, a multi, according to Christian rules anyway. I don't belong because I don't believe. Near-death experiencers, death experiencers, such a better name, I think. Death experiencers no longer believe in the afterlife. We don't have to. We know that our consciousness continues when the body dies, therefore no belief. So if you're new to my channel or you're a Christian, welcome. Just listen. At least there's no belief for me. I can't speak for you. After my first death experience, through the enlightened ear of my heart, right here, Jesus sounded like, and well, what he sounded like to me and what I saw and experienced of him in the Gospels didn't sound like the Jesus I knew from reading the 4 Gospels in high school. And I brought my Bible today to show you my Bible. There it is. That's my Bible, duct taped. And I titled it Bible. Same words. It's Catholic Bible. I read a Protestant Bible in divinity school, but same words, same Jesus, same stories, different Jesus, new understandings of the old stories. He wasn't the same guy that he was when I met him in St. John's. He just wasn't Jesus anymore. It was the same to my ear of my heart as Rumi and St. Teresa and Gautama Buddha and so many more mystical poets worldwide. And in my humble opinion, if there is any language of mystics anywhere in the world, it's in the poetry. Poetry is the tongue of the mystics. There's painting, of course, and music, there's Bach, and there's Cezanne. There's all sorts of other art forms in it. But in terms of words, poetry. There's so much great art. I saw a great painting by one of my peers who's a painter, near-death experiencer. Wow. Wow. On this channel, I talk a lot about Jesus. I translate him. This is because he's the one I know best. If I had become a Buddhist, I would have studied Buddhism. If I had become a Hindu, I would have studied the Upanishads. I mean, as like a priest. Instead, I became a Protestant minister and I studied Jesus because it seemed to me that he sounded like me. He sounded like a near-death experiencer to the ear of my heart. Now, knowledge is essential. That's what we do. We study here. I present material, and it is essentially for me to research because I want to understand how this works. So this is an experiment. I'm researching as we go along. I'm presenting you my findings as I find them myself, because I've not gone through the Gospel of Thomas before like this. So knowledge is essential. This is all knowledge, but practice matters more. Practice matters more than knowledge. Now, we've been working our way through this doctrine smasher, the Gospel of Thomas. I love this book to strip away the theology and understand the metaphor and simile and find the supernatural, with a capital N in the middle of that word, supernatural light living inside the Gospels, the regular four Gospels. We're using Thomas as like a wedge to break into the words of the Gospels, the four Gospels. That's what I'm doing here. Then today, it's a mystical parable from Matthew 9:16 to 17. It's the one about sewing an unshrunken patch on a shrunken shirt. But we need to do some practice first. So welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here and bringing your light. I see a whole bunch of my friends over here, Nancy and Judith and David and Brad and Rowan and Jay and Jill and Deanne. And thank you, Kate. Thank you so much. Thank you. I work for the divine. I have always, since I came back from my first death experience, worked for the divine, not for me, which is why I can tell you that you can find this inside yourself. Because this isn't about, I think the age of the guru is gone. There's only one guru. It's the big G, the one that lives inside the temple of the heart. Find this place. Find your home, find yourself. It acts not only like Muhammad. Now, so Muhammad, he had inward experiences and he had outward experiences. Angel came and spoke to him these like words that were incomprehensible to me. I had to work really hard to understand what the angel was saying to him, whether the angel came on the inside or the outside. It comes from both places, but the journey inward is a direct route to your direct source. Anyway, so let's do a little meditation. Hey, Lynn. Hey, Liv, Kim. Within. All right, we're going to do, I usually practice, and I ask you to practice with me. 3 breath. I'm going to be introducing a lot more breath control and to you all that I've been practicing on my own. So my feet are flat on the floor. My spine is as erect as I can get it. My hands are in my lap. I loosen up my neck. I kind of shake my body out. Even my face. Stretch my face around. Settle my shoulders, settle my butt, feel my feet, feel the bottom of my feet. 3 ohms into the diaphragm, filling the lungs with intent, and then meditation breath, just follow my breath. Use your prayer word, listen to my breath, ride your spine up and ride your spine down. Keep your mind on your spine as you ride. So let's begin by settling into our bodies with 3 ohms. Feel the vibration. Diaphragmatic breathing. Inflate like a balloon. Just your belly. Lungs fill naturally. Ride your spine up to your third eye. Repeat. Listen to your breath. Feel your body. One moment of attention in a meditation is access to eternity. In an accumulation, eternity accumulates. Emancipation, Marie, hello, Chris, hey, Hilde, Matthew 9:16-17. God is un. No one sews patches of a shrunken old shirt with an unshrunken patch, because when you wash it, the patch will shrink away, worsening the tear. Likewise, people never pour freshly pressed wine into unbendable old wineskins, do they? When they do, the skins burst and the wine pours out, and the wineskins and the wine are ruined. Old ideas and rigid knowledge can't contain this new wine of the divine that Jesus speaks of, that fills our wineskin bellies. A new container for a new wine. The new wine doesn't fit inside old paradigms. Instead, the new wine is transdimensional and can only fit inside a container like itself. The new wine is transdimensional and can only fit inside a new container, new like itself. The new wine doesn't fit into old ideas or ideas at all, or theologies or concepts or words. Unspoken, ineffable. The new wine ferments, transforms, expands, slacks thirst, disinfects, and gives a spiritual buzz. This buzz you may have felt in your practice. Have you felt this buzz in your practice? This warmth, this tingle, heightened awareness of the heat or the tingle. Let's take a look and see if you can. With me, take a breath. Ideas and beliefs don't fit inside this smallish mystical experience of the buzz. Ideas don't fit in here. It's transcendental, Emerson, Thoreau, Dickinson, Whitman, and transformative. It's transformative. The buzz transforms us. Muhammad talked about how he was being rung like a bell and how difficult it was for him to put into words the sound of the message of the ringing. It's ineffable, unspeakable. What's in it for you? What's in it for you? A new you, a renewed you, as Jesus talked about it, being born again. He wasn't, by the way, a Christian. I'd say that. A new you, a renewed you, which really is your true self. The renewal is of this body. The true self is always the true self. It's always the divine light. It is inseparable from it. It ceases to be when there is separation. It ceases to be a separate self and instead folds back inside the eternity. Eternal knowledge, not terrestrial knowledge. Noetic understanding, wisdom. This is the renewing of your mind, as Paul talked about. Jesus is saying, I can't sow this new truth into your old truth. I can't sow this ineffability into your language. And neither can you. And if you do, it will tear you. I can't pour this new truth into your old ideas, or the fermentation will burst you and waste the wine too. Old to old and new to new, like to like, find the likeness inside of you. Go there. Leave behind everything unlike the divine, such as anxieties. These get left at the doorway. They get dropped. Those things that are unlike the divine get dropped at the doorway of silence. If in a single breath you have felt this, you also left behind all your anxieties, fears, hatreds, envies, angers, covetousness, jealousies, selfishness, and instead, in this moment when the door cracks open, you are undone. You become and instead find compassion, kindness, peace, forgiveness, joy, hope, truth, beauty, light, and love there. People ask me to describe the silence. This is the description of the silence. I talk about it as peace all the time because that's the overwhelming experience of it for me here. The sense of contentment. But it comes with all these other parts of it too. And if you let it ferment inside of you like a drink, it becomes intoxication. You let it ferment and it becomes alcoholic. And one catches a buzz from the divine as it ferments inside. This is the new law. No, I'm going to take that back. I misread. This is the law of attraction as it applies to French, as it applies to oneness, to the ineffable beloved. A bit about the negative language of Jesus. No, he does this all the time. No one does this, he says in verse 19. Neither does anyone do that, he says in 17. Not this, not that. Mystical Jesus, the metaphor maker, speaks in the apophatic. Big word, new word. Mystical Jesus, the metaphor maker, speaks in the apophatic, which is knowledge and speaking of God, source, Brahma, Allah, nothingness, oneness, obtained through negation. Apophatic is knowledge and speaking of God obtained through negation. The negation of the false self included. Surrender selfhood. Islam, the word means surrender. Now, last week you'll remember that negative Jesus in Thomas 27, when he said, don't do this and don't do that, always with the negative word, Jesus. Always, Jesus, you're always with the negative word. Apophatic in the Upanishads, neti, neti. Not this, not that. Why always the negative words? Unspokenness. Apophatic is present in Gautama Buddha, who described nirvana by what is not in the Nikayas. I knew I was going to slaughter that word. Nikayas. It's a book. This is the quote, okay? There is, monks, an unborn, unbecome, unmade, unfabricated. There is, monks, there is, my friends, an unborn, unbecome, unmade, unfabricated. Apophatic in the mystical life is called via negativa. You experience darkness. Sometimes it's experienced as the light is so bright that you only perceive darkness. People who are afraid of the darkness, when they step in out of their meditation into this place of peace, step into it. Step into the darkness. You will find peace there. If there is no peace there, you bring it with yourself. The apophatic is the negative way into the mystical life. Step into the darkness. And as such is part of our path as mystics. If you read the literature, you will find many mystics stepping into this unness, this darkness. And it's not something that's theoretical in the books, it's something experiential in their lives. And no less and no more than for us, as those who passed this way before us. Both parables of Jesus contain oneness and duality. In the first, for success, the patch must match the sweater. Like if you're going to patch your sweater, you have to match the material, especially say you're using wool and the sweater you're using is shrunken wool, you have to use a piece of shrunken wool to make that patch. For success, they have to match. And in the second, the new wine matches the new wineskin. Because you want the room to expand with the fermentation. The inflation comes with the fermentation. And the transformation comes from the fermentation. New for new, old for old. That's all that Jesus was saying. Opposite parables are placed in parallel. Okay, so these are sort of opposite parables, right? One is about the inflation and transformation through the fermentation, and the other is about the oh my God, I lost my thought. The shrunken, it's already shrunken. So one is expansion and one is shrinking. Right? Opposites. These are opposite parables describing the same thing. And they're placed in parallel in the gospel. Now, the writer or the school who created this gospel, for all of their theology, they're likely independent sayings that were put together, and they are opposites. So in here, there's this extra sort of twist around of the unness of it. between these two verses side by side. These two opposites point at the same single unified truth. These two opposites point at the same single unified truth. And in the first case, the unshrunk patch represents the words, concepts, ideas, doctrines, dogmas, theologies, and beliefs. The garment is the universal divine. In the first one, the wool sweater is the universal divine being inside you, that you're inside of. Even with this hole, it's better without an unshrunken piece of cloth. The sweater, it's better to keep the hole than to put an unshrunken, you'll ruin the sweater. And you'll ruin the sweater. Match likes match. It is the same point made with a new wine. The new matches the new. In this telling, the old wineskin matches the unshrunk patch, representing words, concepts, ideas, doctrines, dogmas, theologies. In the new wineskin, we are the wineskin. The new wine is heaven infilling us. So there's a difference in meaning here too. In the first, it's all about these words that they don't fit into. And in the second, it's you, made of skin, poured within for fermentation, transformation. This is what he was talking about. The patch and the shirt, they become one object. This sweater, I should say. And the patch, they become one object. And the wineskin and the wine share a single usage, to be drunk. Huh? One makes the other possible. Oneness, singleness. And Jesus says in Thomas, like matches like. As commonly said, like attracts like. You've heard this manifestation truth. What do you want to manifest? That's always been the question I've asked myself. This is spiritual truth. Jesus put into words and the parables and the apophatic. God is un. Thanks for spending time with me. Really, truly, your gifts sustain this work. Your tolerance of my technology is admirable, and I appreciate all the help that you give this morning. Last night, somebody gave me some help. Your gifts sustain my work, all kinds of gifts. Thanks. And thanks to my community of the supporters who support me on PayPal, Patreon, Venmo, and those places. I sure appreciate it. You can join us on Mondays and Wednesdays for our 30-minute YouTube meditation teaching from the poets, the mystical poets from around the world in our centering practice. And live on Tuesdays, we go into much deeper detail in the mystics. I teach Chakra, Kriya Yoga, and you can experience the divine within. You can do that without me too. Next, of course, we have Mr. Tea Salon at the top of the other hour. Just join us in our community-sourced wisdom from our mystical experiences shared in conversation, and we support each other. Humility, compassion, and kindness are our rules. Thanks, everybody. I hope this was helpful. It makes sense. I hope it was understandable too. STE has many similarities. Difficult in modern life. The gospel makes a sense for me after the STE. The feeling of God's source live was out of this world. Yeah, for sure. Exactly. Thank you for saying so. That was Hilde. Hello, Betty, Jamie. The heat for you, Kristen. You feel the heat. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, because it's the heat for me too. The heat is like this. Well, it's hot. It's like a flame. It's why Well, I'm not a big fan of hot yoga. I was trying to figure out how to say that. I'm just not a big fan of hot yoga because the prana becomes inflamed and the flame rises. It's to feel the warmth in your hand and the tingle inside. Well, that's how it started for me. And then it became a raging fire. And it turns out I'd always been a raging fire. I had been shown I'd always been a raging fire. It's more like I had to access the raging fire that I already am. Hi, Lucia Expressions. Jamie from New York. I'm glad you like the live chat, Hilde. Lucia. Michael. Hey, Peter. This is Michael. I love when people say Jesus wasn't a Christian. It makes sense. Yeah, he was not a Christian. He's Jewish. And he's a Jewish rebel who was turning over the tables, not to complain about the money being made by the people in the temple, so much as to get the attention of the powerful in the temple, who then set out to destroy him after he had an opportunity that he created to have them hear his message. So remember that the money changers in the temple were probably earning a meager living, and they were providing a service for the people, but on behalf of the priests who were making all the money and held all the power. So there. Anyway, I love the phrase, experience the divine within, don't have to wait for an infilling, a religious concept. No. Concepts are actually ultimately shields. They harden thinking. They make thinking concrete. I like the analogy that you give of putting new wine into new wineskins. Thanks, Jesus, and new ways of thinking. Oh, thank you. In order to reclaim the knowing Jesus better, I have to be open to new ways of thinking. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to do this, Brad. I'm trying to use the stories that you know, that we know. We all know these stories who have been in the church, and drive a little bit of a wedge in there, because Jesus was always talking in tension. He was always trying to aim us between the points of tension. That's what parables are about. In the middle, he stretches us out and stretches us out and stretches us out. And in the middle of the tension is where the elastic breaks, right there. That's where he wants us to go. And so he's always trying to break convention. And that includes our conventional thinking even today. And because he wasn't just out to break the convention of Jewish theological thinking, he was out to break the convention of thinking, to allow mystical experience to come within, not impeded by language. His parables are as applicable today as they were back then, because they're about language and about false self, not about the divine. Very perceptive of you, Brad. I'm glad that you're listening to this. I'm being able to see. Why I say perceptive is because it's with the inner eye that you see. The mind is cleared aside, and then the heart is open to see what Jesus was saying. Remember, it's the same book. This is the book I went to after I died. This is the Bible where I read about Jesus again. I read about Jesus in here, and I don't know. Let's see if I can flip open to this page. This is my doodle page. I titled this page, "This is the World of Religion." And I drew this after an awakening experience with mescaline in high school, my last year. Religion is all the tangle, and see what's in the middle? A single eye. That's how I saw it after I had that mescaline trip back in high school. So even back in high school, I was sort of dislodged from religion, but I didn't understand Jesus until I died. Not better anyway. Hey, Ellen, when I'm in it, it's so easy and perfect and seems like I'll always be there evermore. But when I'm not, it sometimes feels unreachable. I know. Me too. Me too. I know my circumstance is different now, but I remember that experience. It's like the door closes and suddenly you're in the dark again. The more you open the door is opened inside you, the more accumulates inside us. Eternity, moments of eternity in accumulation inside us. And also the door never closes the way it closed before. It's always a micron more open. So the more the door opens, the more light leaks through on its own. And in the meanwhile, the remembrance of those moments and the longing for those moments, more importantly, can be used as a driver toward the moment itself with a capital M. Yeah, that's how I see. You'll see it, Ellen. As long as you long for it, which comes from the lack of it once you've seen it. Judith, me too, Wanda. Smiley face. What did you say, Judith? Wanda. I want to manifest joy. I want people to feel a warm security around me. This is the power of the presence of God, Wanda. So much I thank you for saying that, and Judith for saying that you wanted that too. The radiance of the joy, of the peace of the divine inside brings peace to the world around you. Right? There's a lot of force of negativity out there. It's not, you can't stand in front of a missile and stop it in a war zone. But you can stand inside your relationships where we live. We can stand inside the relationships where we live and bring this warmth with us, bring this peace with us. It's a new perspective. It's not just a transformation of self, it's a transformation interiorly that creates this transformation exteriorly. It's this transformation interiorly that is this strengthening for this exterior. But the hand goes both ways. The exterior collection of the presence of the divine is manifested in your personal life, is scooped back into your heart as it's pushed back out again. Right? So either way, it's either interior or exterior. These two are innately and immediately connected. I find that the interior journey powers the exterior journey and brings this sense of unspoken. Here's another unspoken. You can't say, I found it ineffectual to say, do you feel my peace, man? Do you feel my peace? Because that takes me back to myself. Instead, just be in the peace and bring the peace. You know, here's a secret thing I do. I do this in elevators. When I'm in an elevator that's crowded, if I'm not in conversation, and mostly people stare forward at the elevator door, right? When I'm in an elevator, I drop inside myself. I don't try to change anything. I just be in it and feel if there's a change. Try it sometime. See what happens. Lots of ambient noise today, maybe from your hands. Oh, that noise? Yes. Well, what do you know? That's what this is. What do you know? Why, Lynn? That was very kind of you for boldly saying so, to keep my hands still. That is, I accept it very kindly meant and taken. Thank you. I hope it's not too noisy. I love the experiences, but I'm looking for these experiences change everyday life. To me, that's the proof: kindness, acceptance, contentment that lead into everyday interchanges. That's where it's at, Jill. That's where practical mysticism comes into the world, is exactly what you said. It's proof, as it were. Kindness, acceptance, contentment. You're welcome, Ellen. Thank you. The remembering helps. Martha, your hands are more quiet than the noise in my head. Oh, that's sweet of you to say, Martha. My hands are more quiet than the noise in your head. Yeah, that's interesting. It's if I, how's that? This is just me rubbing my hands. Okay, so I'm ADHD, and I do a lot of sort of below the camera stuff with my body because I'm always in sort of in motion. I can sit still. But the stillest I can be is when I'm actually sitting still with focused concentration. The rest of the time, I'm sort of a, fidgeter. I'm a fidgeter. Um, anyway, thanks for saying so, Martha. It's not just the board that you showed that make the extra noise. It's also your voice that sounds differently. How's that? I didn't unplug today. I shut everything off, but I didn't pull the plug. Thank you, Gertrude. I have to pull the plug every week. There's an experiment. I should not. Is the mic on? Yeah, it was. The outside mic was on. That's better. I have to pull the darn plug. Geez, I'm sorry about that, everybody. I've been pulling the plug for weeks and weeks and weeks, and today I thought, do I really have to pull the plug every time? Because it's not really good for the support of the input. But there you go. Maybe I just don't put out the mic outside. I'll figure out a way around that. Thank you, everybody. I'm sorry about the sound problem today. But onward we go. Onward we go. It's all about the bass. It is all about the bass. It's all about the bass. All right, my friends. Thanks for being the bass for me here. Thanks for being the bass for me here. And especially the bass of those who, $5 or $10 a month, that makes this huge difference. And my being able to be here and make public mistakes and let my ADHD get away with me and think in a moment of disinformational inspiration. Don't pull that plug today, Peter. You don't have to pull that plug today, whispers the little devil on my shoulder. Message came through. Thanks, Betty. All right. I'll see you at the top of the hour, everybody. Peace and love to you all. See you soon. Plug undone. Undo your plug. Peace and love.